Okay, so I completely forgot to record any of today's sessions via class, so I'm going to do it just for you guys right here. Turboing through knowing exercise and knowing eating. Okay, so instead of judging, let's just ask, why do people eat food? Let's give you a few scrolls. See, there are some themes. Cheaper, time, fast. There are food scientists that are making these delicious new sandwiches of fat and sugar and salt. That is literally their job, to make something that your body actually craves. It's a treat. Ah, now we're digging in. Coping with stress, anger, anxiety, depression, reward, treat. Especially going to this next question of how does food relate to love? And this is what is your favorite special food that makes you feel loved and cared for? There isn't much here that is junk food and fast food. These are things that take time and know-how. Scrolling through. Certainly relates to people. We'll get to that. Specific. Some don't. Her food doesn't compare to anything else. And then you think, well, have you tried everything else out there? Probably not. But again, this person's mind is made up and they're probably, in their mind, they're right. I have an aunt, same way. Like I want to weep when I see her table. She makes everything from scratch and it's going to be excellent. So yeah, it's certainly connected to people. Who makes it? Mostly mom, right? The treat of going out. Not too many dads, not too many grandma, grandpas, and miss significant other. So thank you for that. And I also did not think that you would make something that makes you feel loved and cared for. Typically, I would think that was somebody else. So thank you for opening my mind there. Several others is you're two more than one person. This is also important. Again, trying to take the place of someone. Most of you cook for yourself. Now, I don't know if this is heating up or actually cooking with spices and ways of heating, etc., but there's some control. Most of you are interested in learning how to cook and have the time, important things, and the vast majority have influence or input on what we get from the grocery store. So you have a good degree of control in these matters. Now, for this 15%, for example, making do with what is. Right? You have to get a little bit more creative if you have certain goals or certain things you want to eat and you are given certain things out of your control. Now this one, whoa, a lot of you don't know calories, fat, etc. If you are someone wanting to gain or lose weight, you need to know that that's science. To make mass or lose mass, to destroy body tissue or build body tissue is science based on numbers. So if you're struggling with that, probably when we're going to dig into this a little bit more, quarter two, want to know a little bit more, at least a ballpark. Again, don't have to be so neurotically pinpointed and measure everything all the time, but you should have a ballpark so you can adjust your movement based on, or your amount. Eating healthy as a form of self-care. Interesting. 94.2% said yes. However, when we looked at that list of food that makes you feel loved and cared for, not too many salads, not too many veggies, right? So there's this idea that, yes, this is what we're told, but is that reality? Maybe self-care is simply feeling good in this moment or feeling better in this moment. And I would agree, absolutely, that's part of self-care. Not feeling bad, like a friend, you don't want them to feel bad, that's care. Everyone should be able, almost similar, going to push back a little bit on this. And ideally, in a perfect world, yes, but money, availability to food, proximity to grocery stores, how much space you have in your refrigerator. Like there's a lot of things at play, cost underneath people's ability to eat healthy. So there's a lot of, if I live in the inner city and my mom works all day, right, I'm going to be grateful for whatever she brings home. And it's probably going to be fast food because she's been working all day. And if the store is miles away, I'm not going to be able to get there. Enjoy eating. Again, huge, 93.4%. When we are feeling uncomfortable or want to feel comfort, we do things we enjoy. Right? So it makes sense that we eat more when we're anxious and or sad, depressed, and or just wanting to feel better. Again, food is a kind of feeding, it's filling of an emptiness. Now, as far as this portion, it's almost split down the middle. If it is not a social activity, I'm curious as to what are the habits and behaviors in private, right? How much do you eat in private? How fast? Do you like chow down? I'm certainly that person. I eat super fast, but also do we like hoard and hide food? Just again, not saying good or bad, but just looking at that behavior. On the flip side, if it is a social activity, you might eat to be with people when you're not hungry. And if you associate food with people, you might eat if you're feeling lonely and want to be around people. So there's kind of a lot at play here. We shift to exercise. Most of you say we must exercise in order to be healthy, 68%. And to this, I would say, do Native Americans exercise? Farmers, laborers, people using their bodies all day, every day? And the answer, I would say, I would agree with these people, false. It would be no. Now, are they active and use their body? Yes, but that is not in the same ballpark as exercise. I need you to understand that this term and concept of exercise is a made up thing because we no longer need to use our bodies. We can get everything delivered to our doorstep. We don't have to do anything to eat. We don't do anything to live. We can just literally lay all day. So we've made up exercise to be like, you shouldn't do that. You need to move. Right? But exercise is not something we need to do. We need to use our body. We need to move our body, but we don't need to exercise in order to be healthy. I just want to make sure you understand the difference there. I don't think many natives, right, are doing push-ups and sit-ups. They are foraging, hunting, packing up and down their house every couple days, right? They're using their body. I have to lift weights in order to get lean. I agree with this. I was surprised. I would say it's false, right? The concept of lifting weights without looking at nutrition, generally the trend is that people who lift weights and eat what they want just get thicker, not leaner. And the analogy I like to use is that if I took a sack of potatoes and I put it on the ground and I put a big thick comforter blanket over the top, I would see a bump, but it wouldn't be very defined. But if I took off that big thick comforter and I laid down a sheet, now I can see every ridge and shadows and the details and the definition of the potatoes. And that comforter sheet is your body fat and skin levels, right? So if I did nothing to the potato, and weightlifting is trying to get bigger potatoes, but if I did nothing to the potato and I worked on that in-out nutrition, and I tried to make my big thick comforter a sheet, I would get leaner without lifting weights. Okay. Which describes me better? Eat to move, naturally eat more or less based on what I do that day, or move to eat, intentionally exercise so I can eat what I want. So it's something to look at. These folks that move to eat, you are going to exercise every day because you want a giant bowl of cereal. Again, nothing is wrong with that, but I want you to recognize that you don't have to exercise if you would have a smaller bowl of cereal, right? And the other thing that happens with exercise, as we'll get into in the questions coming up, is that when I make the time and effort to work out, I tend to believe I deserve more. I worked out today so I can have that extra muffin. So we end up canceling out that work. And then we don't look different and our weight doesn't change, and then we get mad and frustrated and then we quit. The other thing about working out versus just moving and using your body is when I have a workout day, I tend to do nothing. And then I work out, spike that activity, and then it comes right back down. And afterwards, I do nothing. So we compact everything into this little tiny hour or so in the day. And then again, we don't look at the rest of the day. Uh, Moving on. Working out will help me use more weight than walking. Was really good here. Congrats. The answer is pretty much always it depends. Again, do you believe you deserve more if you work out? Versus when I go take a walk, I tend to eat the same because I don't dig a huge deficit and feel like I deserve more. Now, when I switch over to the next, when I talk about running and versus walking, big skew here. And it was pointed out that the statement itself, as described, makes sense. But again, if that effort in running makes me feel I deserve more food, it's the same as weightlifting, right? It's not going to necessarily lose more weight than walking. Walking is the most accessible activity that we have, right? And then most people don't think it's good enough. So again, it should depend, right? Anything that is intense tends to draw a reward behavior out of it. And most of us reward ourselves with food. So what is it that you can do consistently without seeking reward that can uptick your movement a little bit? Because in order to lose weight, you basically have three options. You can move more, eat less, or do a combination of the two. Okay. And for those of you on the flip side that are looking to gain weight, typically you probably don't eat that much. So when you do eat, you want to make sure that it is full of like healthy fats. I don't mean drink oil and, eat a whole thing of brownies, but I mean, when you drink milk, have whole milk. If you're going to eat a handful of food, make it nuts, avocados, make it things that are very rich and calorie dense so that you could keep your weight up. How many hours a day am I awake? What? 10% of you are up for 20 hours. Here's a quick tip if these folks are also looking to lose weight, sleep more. Because if you sleep more, you're not eating, right? So if I'm 4 hours a day not eating versus 6 hours a day not eating, right? I just added 2 hours a day that I'm not eating or thinking about food. Okay? Try it, right? Sleeping more should help you lose weight. Lowers anxiety. Again, you're not eating during that time, rest and recovery. Your body can calm and not be like, give me something, I'm freaking out. Okay. General 6 to 8 hours of sleep a day. How many of my awake hours am I moving around? Right? 8 is a lot, right? Imagine being at the gym for 8 hours. Would you be crushing it for 8 hours? No, you'd do something, you'd piddle around, be on your phone. 10, 15 minutes later, you come back. If you've got to be at the gym for 8 hours, it wouldn't be fully sustained. So consider if you're working 8 hours, your body is doing stuff or cleaning or playing. 6-4, similar, right? Think about going to the gym for 4 hours or going to the gym for 1 hour and doing nothing for the other 3. It balances out. Now, the folks I need to look at are these folks who are less than an hour. They're moving around. If you are looking to lose weight, you've really got to make sure that your nutrition is on point. Hopefully you're eating to move, and then when you're not doing stuff, you're not eating that much. But if you are not moving and you're eating more, weight gain is going to happen. Vast majority, 2/3, would identify as average. And I'm curious as to where that number came from. Is it an assumption? Are you comparing? Because it is of all likely that someone who is moving the same can identify as this person, or that person based on their perspective and experience. But most of you say that you are working, that you move enough. About a fourth say not enough. And 7% say highly active, above average. Now to move more, interesting, here 3.63% are getting all the activity I need versus 7.3 saying I'm highly active. So there's a disconnect here somehow. But the two biggest bullets is figure out where to start. We're going to be working on that with today's assignment and the ones for this upcoming week of the first week of November, and find out what you want to do. Now, I cannot stress enough here that I don't know if you're going to have another time, block of time to yourself to figure things out for yourself rather than pandemic time. Right? So are you able to dig and try versus wait till somebody presents something to you? These purple and green, do what I do already do a little bit longer or more often. Finding someone involving other people can get tricky only because you can't control it, right? You could throw it out there, but you run the risk of being rejected. And if you are rejected, does that mean you're not going to move? Okay. So this was a turbo through knowing exercise and knowing eating. Be putting it up for folks who couldn't join the Zoom. Will be necessary on the quiz final coming up next week. Okay, bye-bye.